Jeffrey Epstein was an American financier whose life story moved from mystery and wealth to global controversy. Born in 1953 in Brooklyn, New York, Epstein grew up in a middle-class neighborhood. His parents worked regular jobs, and nothing in his early life suggested the powerful connections he would later develop. In the 1970s, Epstein attended college but did not complete his degree. Despite this, he managed to secure a teaching job at a prestigious private school in Manhattan. Soon after, he left teaching and entered the financial world, where his career path became less clear. By the early 1980s, Epstein began working in finance and investment advising. Over time, he claimed to manage money for wealthy clients. Many details about how he built his fortune remain uncertain, adding mystery to his rise. However, one thing became clear. Epstein developed connections with extremely wealthy and influential individuals around the world. Throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, Epstein owned multiple luxury properties, including homes in New York, Florida, New Mexico, Paris, and a private island in the Caribbean. These properties later became central to investigations surrounding him. Epstein often appeared in elite social circles, attending events and meeting business leaders, celebrities, and political figures. To the public, he seemed like another wealthy financier living a private life among powerful connections. But behind this image, serious allegations would later emerge, leading to investigations that shocked the world and changed how people viewed him. This marked only the beginning of a story that would unfold over decades and eventually lead to one of the most controversial criminal cases in recent history. In the mid-2000s, Jeffrey Epstein's life took a dramatic turn when law enforcement investigations began focusing on allegations involving the exploitation of underage girls. In 2005, a police investigation in Florida examined accusations that young women were being recruited to provide massages at Epstein's home. According to reports, some of these encounters later involved illegal activities, leading authorities to build a criminal case against him. In 2008, Epstein reached a controversial legal agreement that allowed him to plead guilty to lesser charges. He served a short jail sentence, spending part of his time outside jail under work release arrangements. Many critics later argued that the punishment was too lenient, considering the seriousness of the allegations. After his release, Epstein returned to private life, but questions remained about his activities and connections. Over time, journalists and investigators continued examining the case, bringing renewed attention to earlier accusations. Then, in 2019, federal prosecutors in New York charged Epstein again, accusing him of operating a trafficking network involving underage girls over several years. His arrest drew worldwide media coverage, and public interest in the case intensified. Investigators began reviewing documents, testimonies, and evidence connected to Epstein's associates and properties. The renewed investigation sparked debates about wealth, power, and accountability, with many asking how such activities allegedly continued for so long. However, before the case could reach trial, another shocking event would occur, adding even more controversy and unanswered questions to the story. In August 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his jail cell while awaiting trial in New York. Authorities ruled his death a suicide, but the circumstances quickly led to widespread public debate and multiple investigations into how such an event could occur in a high-security facility. Following his death, attention shifted toward the broader network surrounding him. Court cases and investigations continued, focusing on associates, business connections, and individuals accused of helping recruit victims. Over time, previously sealed court documents and testimonies were reviewed, leading to renewed public interest in understanding the full scope of Epstein's activities. Many victims came forward seeking justice and accountability for past experiences. The case also sparked discussions about how powerful individuals can influence legal outcomes and whether justice systems treat wealthy defendants differently. Governments and organizations faced pressure to strengthen protections against exploitation and trafficking. Media outlets around the world produced documentaries, investigations, and reports examining the events, making the Epstein case one of the most discussed legal controversies of the decade. Today, the name Jeffrey Epstein remains linked to debates about accountability, transparency, and justice. While many questions continue to be explored in courts and media investigations, the case left a lasting impact on public awareness about abuse, power, and responsibility. Understanding this story is important not only to examine past events, but also to ensure stronger safeguards exist in the future to protect vulnerable individuals. And even years later, discussions about the case continue, showing how deeply it affected public trust and global conversations about justice. In the years following Jeffrey Epstein's death, the case continued shaping discussions about justice, power, and victim protection across the world. Governments and advocacy organizations increased efforts to strengthen laws and support systems aimed at preventing exploitation and trafficking. The case served as a reminder of how vulnerable individuals can be affected when powerful figures escape scrutiny. The media also faced criticism and reflection, with questions about whether earlier warning signs were ignored or underreported. Many journalists later revisited past stories to understand how events unfolded over time. Streaming platforms and investigative reporters produced numerous documentaries examining different aspects of the case, bringing renewed attention to victims' experiences and systemic failures that allowed abuse to continue for years. For many observers, the Epstein case highlighted the need for transparency and accountability, especially when allegations involve wealthy or influential individuals. Today, legal cases connected to Epstein's network are still being discussed, and civil lawsuits continue in some jurisdictions. Survivors continue to seek recognition and justice through the courts. Ultimately, the story serves as a complex and troubling chapter in modern legal history. It remains a reminder of the importance of protecting vulnerable people and ensuring accountability regardless of wealth or status. And as public interest continues, the conversation around justice, responsibility, and reform remains ongoing. As investigations into Jeffrey Epstein expanded, attention increasingly turned toward individuals connected to him. Over the years, Epstein maintained relationships with business leaders, politicians, academics, and celebrities, which intensified public curiosity about who knew what and when. Court cases began examining whether associates or employees played roles in recruiting or enabling activities connected to Epstein. Several lawsuits were filed by victims seeking compensation and accountability, leading to settlements and continued legal disputes. One major development involved legal actions against people accused of helping facilitate Epstein's operations. These cases brought renewed attention to the broader network surrounding him, rather than focusing only on Epstein himself. media coverage intensified as journalists investigated travel records, social events, and business ties. Documentaries and news reports explored how Epstein built trust within elite circles and maintained influence despite earlier legal troubles. Public debate grew around the idea of accountability for powerful figures, with many people questioning how someone with serious allegations could continue operating for years without stronger consequences. As more civil cases progressed, courts released documents revealing additional details about lawsuits, testimonies, and claims connected to the case. Each new release generated headlines and further discussion worldwide. However, separating verified facts from rumors proved challenging, making responsible reporting and careful investigation critical in understanding the true scope of events. As public attention continued, many discussions shifted toward how systems meant to protect people may have failed over time. Critics questioned whether earlier investigations could have prevented later events if stronger action had been taken sooner. Law enforcement agencies, legal experts, and journalists began reviewing earlier cases and legal agreements connected to Epstein. These reviews focused on understanding why earlier allegations did not lead to more severe consequences and whether mistakes were made during investigations. Some experts argued that complex legal negotiations, limited cooperation from witnesses, and challenges in gathering evidence contributed to the difficulty of prosecuting the case earlier. Others questioned whether influence and wealth played a role in legal outcomes. These discussions encouraged renewed calls for reform within the justice system, especially regarding how cases involving powerful individuals are handled. Advocates pushed for clearer procedures to protect victims and ensure fair treatment under the law. At the same time, survivor advocacy groups emphasized the importance of listening to victims and providing better support systems for those who come forward with allegations. Many pointed out that fear, social pressure, and personal safety concerns often prevent victims from speaking publicly. The Epstein case ultimately became part of a larger conversation about legal accountability, investigative transparency, and the responsibilities of institutions when handling sensitive cases.